people that are here share the philosophy that we share. There are a few key people that are missing, though. The entire Board of Regents, who were invited, most did not RSVP, the Commissioner of Education, and the Governor. All must feel that our children are not important enough to attend this event. They don't want to hear the message we have to share. It has to make you wonder. But on behalf of the Board of Education of the Patchogue-Medford School District, thank you again for attending, and I promise this will be an amazing evening.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Hines. I'm the proud superintendent of the schools for the Patchogue-Medford School District. Thank you. We are delighted knowing that you made it through the extreme weather conditions. You know, some of you endured avalanches, locusts, tornadoes, unbelievable road conditions, but you made it, and for that I'm forever grateful. And this is a very special evening for our honored guest, Sir Ken Robinson. You know, as a dear old friend once shared with me, whoever is meant to be here is here right now. And again, for that I'm extremely thankful. Our audience was supposed to, and that's okay, because it's still reflective of who was going to be here. Over 50 school districts were going to be in attendance in New York State, and that is significant. There also were supposed to be 6 universities, which I think really shares a very clear narrative that things must change, and they will change over time. But tonight never would have happened if it wasn't for a few people in our room. So a big, big thank you to our visionary Board of Education. So President Anthony O'Brien, thank you. Our first Vice President, Kellyanne Jennings. Our second Vice President, Teresa Baldinucci Greenberg. Our Trustee, Diana Andrade. Trustee Thomas D'Onofrio. Trustee Mark Negrin, and last but certainly not least, Trustee Bernadette Smith. Also, a very special thank you to our sponsors, not only for sponsoring this, but for actually making it here. They have truly made a dream come true for many of us in the education world. We appreciate the generosity of the Island Outreach Foundation and their impressive and forward-thinking board of directors. This event never would have happened without you, so thank you so much. We appreciate Long Island University Post and Scope Education Services, specifically Dr. Al and Sarah, the Dean of Education at LIU Post, and Mr. George Duffy, the CEO from Scope, and their vision and leadership. And then finally, I want to thank Anthony Pasilico and his team at Pearson. We are grateful for your sponsorship. But also to my exec team, the administrators, the teachers, the security, who is second to none, Dr. Jones, our tech team. This is a historic day for Patchogue-Medford School District and our wonderful community. And then to my go-to people, we have Teresa, Lily, Dennis, Dr. Jones, Doreen, James, and Gary for the coordination of everything here tonight. But enough of that, because now you have waited a very long time, and we have the extreme distinct honor of introducing Sir Ken Robinson. He's an internationally recognized authority in creativity and innovation, in education and business. Sir Ken Robinson is also one of the world's leading speakers, as we all know. Videos of his famous TED Talks and at the prestigious TED Conference are the most viewed in the history of the organization and have been seen by an estimated 300 million people in over 150 countries. So to contextualize how amazing this is, to put it in perspective, my TED Talk has been seen by 290 million less than Sir Ken Robinson. So over the years, we have grown to understand and appreciate his educational viewpoints regarding the present education system, not only in New York, but certainly in this great nation of the United States, that unfortunately fosters conformity, compliance, and standardization instead of recognizing that education should be a much different experience for all of our children. Sir Ken has written several books, and his latest is called You, Your Child, and School, Navigate Your Way to the Best Education. Ken's ideas about creativity in education, the need for recess and play, as well as whole child education, are more important today than ever before. So let's give it up and welcome our distinguished guest, Sir Ken Robinson.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. I'm not going to sit here. It's just somewhere to put the martini. Thank you for coming. How long did it take you to get here? Hours. Did you have nothing better to do this evening than... I'm very impressed. But I'm not as impressed as I am with me, because it took my wife and me 3 hours to get here from, do you know, the Oheka Castle? Yeah, we're staying there at the moment because we're on a bit of a tour, and we just came in from somewhere else. And so we thought we'd put our feet up for a couple of days at the Oheka Castle. Anyway, it started to snow this afternoon, and it's taken us 3 hours. So I'm just grateful to be here. I'm especially grateful because we don't plan to leave now, because we're looking for work in the area, frankly. We're not going to try that again. So thank you. I know that we were hoping that more people could have made it through, but I'm really delighted that you've made it here, and I want to welcome all of you. To thank Dr. Hines particularly, Anthony O'Brien, the members of the board and the rest, and we have a distinguished guest among us as well, with Professor Peter Gray. It's wonderful to see you here as well, Peter. So that was it. Thank you very much. That's... No, the overarching reason why I was so keen to come here, apart from this great school, and I wanted to thank the staff here and the principal, but I'm sure you're aware of it, the work you're doing here in the district with the leadership of the board and with Dr. Hines is getting out. People know about it and are paying attention to it. I've certainly been paying attention to it, and I've been very interested and impressed and grateful for the work that you are doing here. And the reason is that, as Anthony O'Brien said at the beginning, the need for an urgent shift in education priorities has never really been keener than it is just now. And the sad truth is that many organisations, many districts, are really going in the opposite direction of the way we should be going. So I want to say a few words about that. And then, if time allows, we're going to have some questions and some Q&A with me and Dr. Hines. And we should be out of here sometime on Tuesday, if that's all right. Whenever it thaws. I have recently, by the way, I'm here with my wife Terry. We've been together for a long time. We've been together for 41 years now, Terry and I. Thank you very much. In partnership all that time. But two things have happened in my life recently that I want to tell you about. One of them is that 2 months ago, we've been living here now for 17 years, and up until recently I was on a green card. I was a resident alien. So thank you for that. I'm an alien, and yet I move among you, you know, and so I haven't just popped over, you know, from the UK to get away from all the Brexit nonsense. I actually live here. We've been living here for 18 years. And 3 months ago, I became a citizen. Thank you very much. I might have picked a better time, you know, but... it's not without its challenges, honestly, but... So, my fellow Americans, I feel I can say to you now. So there's that. And we're very invested in what's been happening in the States. So we've been here for 18 years. We haven't just drifted in and had a quick look. We've been here a long time. I've had the privilege, and Terry with me, of traveling all across America. We've met with all kinds of wonderful people in education, schools, school districts, and you know, this has been our life. I know a lot of people became aware of the stuff I do through the TED Talks. But, you know, I wasn't invented at TED. And I know some people are surprised that I'm not a video when I show up. I did an event a while ago in, I think it was in Illinois, it was at a university, and over lunch with the faculty, one of them said to me, "You've been at this a long time, haven't you now?" This was about 5 years ago. I said, "What's that?" He said, "Trying to change education." I said, "I have." He said, "What is it, 7 years now?" I said, "How do you mean, 7 years?" He said, "You know, since that TED talk." I said, "Yes, but I was alive before that." You know, that's the thing. I had been at this rather a long time, in fact, all my professional career. And I'll tell you what it is I've been at in just a moment. But I'm always very keen to say it, that the things that we're discussing this evening, the things that you're doing here in the district, are not eccentric, they're not improbable, they're not based in some kind of liberal fantasy of how schools could be if the world wasn't the way it is. They're rooted in hard experience of what makes a great school, what makes a great district, and the benefits that accrue to our children if we think differently about how we educate them. And I'm by no means the first person to argue about these things. There have been people arguing for holistic education, not just arguing for it, but demonstrating the value and the power of it, pretty much since the beginning of education anywhere. The problem has been, latterly, to get these ideas accepted in the mainstream of education, and particularly, I should say, in the mainstream of public education. I'm a great advocate of public education. I always have been. I've worked in public education. I work on behalf of public education. It's not because I'm against independent schools, by the way. It's just that most people can't afford that. There's a completely misleading strategy now, I think, that's beguiling people into believing that charter schools are the answer to everything in American education. They're simply not. I mean, charter schools can be good or bad, indifferent or otherwise. There's nothing in the constitution of it being an independent school or a charter school, which is a kind of a public independent school, that makes it good or bad. What makes a school good or bad is the quality of the teaching, the quality of the curriculum, and the links with the broader community. And there are fantastic public schools all across this country, but one of the reasons I'm so keen on it is I think it's an entitlement. This is a matter of human rights, that we should be giving our children the education they deserve, and it shouldn't be something that comes with a big price tag for the people who are aiming to benefit from it. And by the way, for most families, public education isn't their best shot, it's their only shot. So we have to get public education right, and that's always been part of my campaign. So a lot of these ideas have taken root in some parts of the public system, which is why I'm so pleased about what's happening here. But also, you know, as Dr. Gray would testify, I'm sure, a lot of these ideas about holistic education, conditions for natural development of children, are at the root of pioneering initiatives in education from the beginning. And I say most recently, but you know, Montessori and Freeball and Dewey and the rest of the progressive movement were talking about these things and had been trying them out and seen their demonstrable value in all kinds of settings. What tends to happen is that, firstly, ideas get watered down in practice, and so the signal gets weaker. So sometimes people see a poor version of good education and conclude, therefore, it's not a very good idea. But also, human practices have to be constantly revived and revivified. There is no end state to human affairs. We don't reach a steady state where we think we've done that now, it's all fixed. You have to keep doing it. One of the things that John Dewey said, notably, was that every generation has to rediscover democracy. And that's exactly true. You know, democracy is not something that is becomes natural to human beings and they'll just fall in with it no matter what. You have to practice it, you have to understand why it works. And we've seen that latterly, the need to get people actually up and vote and take the opportunities that other people have fought for and often died for. So in the same way that democracy and other social values have to constantly be relived and revivified, so the practices of holistic education have to be as well. And there's no end state to it. So I just want to restate some of the core principles here. I said there were two things that have happened in my life recently. The first is that I have now taken the oath of allegiance, by the way. The second is that Terry and I have recently become grandparents. Thank you. Yeah. I know you're trying to work it out. How can that possibly be, you're thinking? He's far too young for this type of thing. It is a bit freakish, I grant you. But it's interesting, since our granddaughter is now 6 months old, it's interesting to me that since she was born, we've found ourselves in the company of other grandparents. We always were, we just didn't make a point of it. Now we go up to them and say, "You're a grandparent?" And what I found interesting is that all grandparents believe that their grandchild is uniquely smart and beautiful.